Malaysia.
Wow, Malaysia. Okay, so what time is it there now?
It's just about 1 minute to 10.
Wow, okay. All right. So you just lived through this day I'm getting ready to get into now. So
Yeah, I'm in the future as my songwriter and myself. We joke about it. I'm in the future.
I always do that too. I love the future. That's why I love these conversations. I get to see what's going on. It's great.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you for having me on Neon Jazz.
Oh yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. And what I would like to do before we get into this, before we get into the new material, we've all gone
Okay.
through quite a thing with COVID. How did you survive that time period? And how refreshing is it to have material and to see the world open up now as a musician?
Well, I won't lie about it. During the pandemic, I think I'm a live performer, full-time live performer, gigging artist. So it hit us like a sledgehammer. The rug was pulled out from under our feet. And how I managed was because I'm also a visual artist. So I sold a lot of my art to keep things going.
Yeah.
As a stopgap measure, I also did a lot of cooking and stuff like that, and sold food and stuff like that. But you know what? The amazing thing about it all was my collaborator, and she's also the songwriter for this album and the previous album. We kind of met up again during the pandemic, and I actually released 2 albums during the pandemic.
Okay.
That's excellent. It's like something that I didn't expect to. I released one with her, and I released another with my producer who did the album that I had collaborated with her. That was the first one. But I would say it was such a blessing because what it helped me do was get out of the rut that I was in. And it was a terrible place to be because I think I won't be stretching it if I said I was hitting rock bottom with depression.
Yeah.
So yes, Denise kind of saved me. And we had actually met previously, but we just didn't get into these things because as a full-time gigging musician, it's very hard to commit to an album. And I was already doing my own stuff, my own music that I was writing. So whatever time I had, I went into the studio to record my own stuff. So as a songwriter, she as a songwriter, I think she was trying to get me to listen to her song so that maybe we could work towards something, but that time never really arrived until the pandemic.
So talk to me about Always You. Talk to me about what creative forces went into this and how it feels just to have this new beginning. The warm months are here. Things are opening up. How does it feel?
It feels good because right after everything opened up, I traveled to Texas. I performed in Texas, performed in India, went down to Nashville, met my producer, did a lot of stuff. I also performed in Los Angeles for a private party, closed door kind of thing. And I did the album that I did with her. I did it for the audience, not this new one, the previous one.
Yeah.
So it felt really very good. But that was my kind of like my foray into exploring jazz, because I would be the first to say jazz is something that's so wide and deep that to say that you're doing jazz is going to get you into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So I would say I was tiptoeing my toes in jazz, trying to feel my way. And I wouldn't say I went into the genre consciously. It kind of picked me.
Right.
So yeah, so
I hear that
I'm
a
not
lot.
really, yeah.
I hear that a lot about jazz. It picks you. It's just one of those things that's the beauty of it. I think that when it picks you, I think it holds on tighter.
Yes, and so I will be the first to say, because I know there are a lot of jazz fans out there and a lot of stalwart jazz musicians who would probably look at me and say, "What the hell is she talking about?" So I'm not going to say anything about jazz. I know I'm just going to tell you about the song. Now, Always You is actually the title track for the album, and we decided to release that song because it was that song that started the whole second album with Denise and I. And she had written this song for me and my partner Zach, because it was more of observations of what it was like for me to be a full-time gigging musician. I'm always in the front. He's always playing the guitar in the back and holding fort, so to speak. And what it was like, my relationship between the audience, and wait a second. Let me recap. I just saw Denise there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what's going on? We're getting infiltrated. What's up?
Denise is the songwriter. Yeah, no, I think she's just here to see what's happening. All right. So what happened was the song is about my relationship with the audience and what's happening with me and the audience and how he deals with that, that
Yeah.
I'm always in the front and people are going to always look at me and wonder, well, is she available? Could we, should we try? And it gets very difficult if for us to be performing for a long period of time over the years. There are a lot of challenges. And how do you keep that relationship that we already have? How do you keep it intact without these things coming into and creating all the problems? So, but at the end of the day, he always knows it's always you.
So,
It's him.
yeah, absolutely. So what are you hoping the listener gets from this project?
Say again?
What are you hoping the listener gets from this project when they listen to it?
The listener, what would they get? What would you take away is what when you listen to the song, what do you feel? Can you relate to it? Do you have this when I'm with Denise songs, I don't write the songs. So when I listen to it, can I tap into that? Can I tell myself, I tell myself, do I relate to it at any level?
Right.
So I don't just select songs to sing because it's nice, because I can tap into it. I've experienced that. So I hope that people can experience what I'm trying to convey through the lyrically. It's already there. It's just that emotion that I'm trying to the wave of it above all the lyrics. So can you take that with you and run with it and be happy with it? Do you feel sad? Do you feel happy?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
try not to overthink what I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
my producer says, he says that I go into the studio, I don't practice the song for millions of times before I get into the studio. It's usually just 2 takes, unless I really get it so bad with my timing. It's just usually 2 takes, because I find that if you overdo things and overthink the whole production part and the delivery part, you are going to lose the essence of what the song is about.
Yeah.
So it might sound like, she's really crappy. How would she go into the studio and just do it at like 2 takes or 1 take? But the truth is, that's what I do. And I wouldn't talk about that, because then people will say, but shoo, what?
So speaking of journey, how did this journey into the music begin for you? Where were you born and raised, and how did you get these seeds and this desire to be a musician?
Okay, I was born in a small historical, now it's a city, but back then it was a Sleepy Hollow, the historical city of Malacca in Malaysia. And I am of Creole Portuguese descent.
Okay.
So over the centuries, we've all intermarried, and there's a lot of different blood probably running in my veins. But I would say that I'm definitely Portuguese. My maiden name is Nunes. Nunes, as in, so it's Portuguese. And music has always been a part of my culture, because the Portuguese love their music, their food, and their music. I don't think it's any different in Portugal, actually. So I had my I was started teething on music because my dad was in a band, so it wasn't unusual to have people walk in and out of the house who they're all musicians. That was that was the ground, that was the foundation. But I never wanted to pursue music because it was a very difficult path, and I've seen a lot of people before me who have come and gone. It is not a it is the people you meet that you end up disillusioned. You end up trying to find a dream that is just not there. So I never wanted to get into music, but like I say, it's not a choice. The universe had a different
Yep,
plan for me.
absolutely. What was the first live show that you ever saw that really made you think, wow, I would love to do that someday?
Well, I actually used to see my dad perform,
Yeah.
and I used to. It wasn't unusual for us to tag along when he was performing, and I think seeing him up on stage was like he wasn't it wasn't like eye opening or anything because I've always heard him sing, but going on stage and performing was something that came very naturally for me. It wasn't something like, oh, I would like to try that. No, I it was never like that. My dad will get us on stage when we were young to perform, like sing a song with him or something. He was an improviser. He would improvise on the spot, blues, and he'll get lyrics in out of the blue, just grab them out of the of thin air. So he'll get us on stage and he would introduce us as his kids, his daughter, and it was not something that I think about like when was the first time? No.
Right.
But the first time I think I really thought to pursue it full time was when I met my partner Zach.
You
You
know,
know?
I mean, it's part of your DNA. That's the thing about this question. It's like you don't know any
Yeah.
different. It's like when you say to somebody, what does water taste like and how much do you like it? How long have you been doing it? We're made of water. We've been drinking water since we were born. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
totally get it. Well, then let's kind of deviate and get into a different flavor here. Who were influences? Who were singers and musicians that you admire that really influenced the way that you approach it?
Okay. I grew up on a really I grew up on rock and blues.
Okay.
So if you ask me back then what was I listening to, I wouldn't know because um I came from a very poor background. So whatever we listened to was on the radio, or if we had any cassettes or cartridges, they were all missing their cases.
Uh,
We put it in and we listened to it. But I grew up on a good dose of Black Sabbath, Eric Clapton, Deep Purple,
yeah.
a little bit of Bob Marley, a little bit of the Beatles, a little bit of Carole King, a little bit of whatever was popular on the radio, Elvis, Cliff Richard, and everything else, because that was what my parents were listening to. And because Malacca is a very small place, whatever arrived in the city would probably arrive in Malacca like way, way later, way
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
what was popular back then in maybe in the States would only be really popular here in Malaysia, in Malacca, will catch on maybe like a year after or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So
So the
what is it that you like the best about being a professional musician? What is the part of it? You got recordings, you got live music, you got promotion. What do you look forward to the most?
I like performing for a live audience because that was it. That has and always been the reason why I've stayed in the music, because I love performing for a live audience. I'm a performer at heart, I think. It's always nice to see people happy at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
All the yeah, that's what I get. It's very rewarding. I mean, for whether I perform for a table of one or a crowd of 1,000 or 10,000, well, I've not performed for 10,000. I've performed for about 7,000. It makes no difference. It makes no difference to me because performing for me is like a way of being able to express myself. I know it sounds very generic and very cliched, but that's very true. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
So do you feel a renewed vigor now that the world's opening up? You got new music out and things are picking up. Do you feel like there's a reinvigoration in your career and the way that you're approaching things now?
Of course. But I also have realized that there's also been a shift because for me personally, yes, I feel like, okay, I can get back to all the things I was doing, but I don't know about what's happening across the pond. But in Asia, in Malaysia at least, things have shifted a little bit. People are now finding during the pandemic they found other ways to entertain themselves. So the music scene has shifted slightly. People are not so wanting to go out and party till 2 a.m. like they used to do before the pandemic. Here, everything closes at very early.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
say you come to Kansas City and you perform, okay? And you
Okay.
have to not only explain what a live show would be like, but convince people in Kansas City to come see you perform. How would you explain your show?
Wow, my show would be explosive, loud, and very what we say. I'll be riding the emotion. I'm a different person. I know you heard always you, but when I perform live, it's a totally different thing. I'm like this split personality. I become somebody else on stage. I'm like crazy. I'm not crazy as in like stretching my guitars or my guitarist guitar or something like that. No, but it's just a totally different person. I'm a totally different person on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. I could tell by the way you said, wow, I got it. It was like you channeled the energy. So, so if anyone, let me get to the essence of you. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, but you're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Hmm. That's the first time anybody's actually asked me, Joe. All right. I think I'm a very, very focused person to the point of that I can be my own undoing. I'm so focused that if somebody doesn't pull me out of what I am doing or where I'm going, I think I will burn myself. I'm like this comet that's going, and before I hit the Earth's atmosphere, I'm going to go.
I like it.
No, seriously.
Yeah. What a
Yeah.
great description. No, that's beautiful. So if anyone out there wants to get Always You, they want to keep up with any live shows, anything that you've done that they can buy and be a part of, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, you can go to Amazon, iTunes. You can go to anywhere. I don't have it on my webpage. You can stream it anywhere. It's available everywhere.
All right. And we're going to get it on Neon Jazz. This has been wonderful. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for your energy, your exuberance, and taking time out today. Send my best to Malaysia. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. Bye.
See ya.